I don't like church that much. I'm sorry. Okay, I know I'm not supposed to say that. I am a minister of the gospel. I am a pastor, or I've been a pastor. I am in ministry. I love the idea of church, but I just don't like going. I'll oftentimes find every excuse in the world not to go, and then I drag myself there. And, sometimes you may have the feeling afterwards that you say, oh, I felt so good afterwards. I'm so glad I went. I don't know. Sometimes I don't. I'm sorry. Why is that? Here's the deal. Most churches, okay? And I'm not saying this is your church. This is just most churches out there, where you get to the front door and they're handing out, they reach in their box and they pull out this mask. They put it on you. A little nice, smiley face mask, that's all, nothing on your face that's messed up. Just kind of a perfect little face. And it's just smile, you're happy. Looks like a joyful face. Because that's what you have to put on whenever you get there. You can't really be authentic in the church. No, you can, but it may not go well for you. People may immediately have a reaction towards you and be allergic. If you're your real self, because nobody's being their real self. You're just around people wearing the exact same mask. They're all happy. They're all, as best they can. And whenever they do try to push down a little bit, it's always that they have the answers. It's like, oh yes, I have this problem, but here's the thing that I do for it. Here's the way I take care of it. And everybody just kind of goes along, and you hear everybody else's stories, and you just feel very alone. You feel like most of the people there aren't like you, because they don't have the same problems you do. And it makes you insecure. It makes you scared. It makes you scared about your life and your Christianity. Now, I go to AA. I go to AA from the pain pill addiction that I had years ago. And I love AA. I love AA. I love AA for this very reason that I'm talking to you. I love AA because you get in there. And I don't love AA because of how much it helps me. I'm sorry. I know it helps a lot of people. I don't see it too much as this aid on my road. I made a commit to Christy, and that is my rock, that commitment. And God has been blessed me with delivering me from this addiction, I think. But the AA doesn't help me in that way. I love to be around that kind of person. It is absolutely refreshing. Why? What do? You get in there and they're all falling apart. And most of them don't really have any answers, except for to get together and share their difficulties and their problems. And I just love you get in there, and if you put on a mask, they will make you take it off. You will have to take it off. They will call upon you and tell you to take off that mask and talk about your problem. And they don't all just talk about their problems with AA or the alcohol. They talk about an extensive amount of problems that are all around it. Their marriage problems and how they just are not a very good husband, or they talk about their children and how their children are rebellious, or they weren't very good fathers and they failed them. And they're in this broken state, and they stay in this broken state there. That's something that they get fixed for one particular area of that broken state. But they're just a bunch of people going to a hospital in need of help. And that's really what the church is. The church is not a bunch of people that, have it all together and have it figured out, that aren't like you. I know you go to church, and I know you feel uncomfortable oftentimes because of this. You know why? Because I know humans. I know human nature. I know everybody's got, unless they're in absolute denial, they've got massive issues in their life. And it takes you aback It is surprising, it is jolting whenever you hear often the stories of another person, not because they have them, but because they also have them and you didn't know it. And I'll tell you, the refreshment that comes whenever you get around a group like that, I mean, just the scales fall off. You begin to lift up your shirt and see all the scars and the open wounds and the just damage that it has been done in this sin-filled world and in our sin-filled bodies, and how just absolutely messed up we are. And we are in a hospital. You know, the thing about AA, they've got a particular issue they're dealing with: alcohol, drugs, and they're trying to fix that. And they do well because, you know, whatever you think of AA, you know, they do have God, and it has a very Christian tradition. I mean, you read the big book from AA, and you cannot deny those guys were Christians, for sure. And everybody has to read those things, so it's great. But what about us? I mean, we're in the church. We've got the scriptures. We've got Christ in a whole different way. We've got the fullness of Christ. We got the fullness of the gospel. We got the fullness of the good news. And yet we don't ever give it an opportunity to heal. We got so much medicine in there, and that medicine just stays on the shelves. And our wounds stay open. They never get stitched up. There's never an attempt to get them stitched up, even though we've got the ability to do it. And that fellowship that happens just by being together with other people who are falling apart, it changes your life. It opens you up. It gets you prepared to grow. Whenever you're scared, whenever you're sitting there, you know, there's nobody like me here. I'm just alone. You know, I'll listen to the message, and the message is going to be great, and it is great, but I'm alone. Because I go to these little small groups or the Sunday school class, or I have the fellowship or anything, and it's very cold dynamic, because it's just these people with this mask, this weird looking ugly mask that I hate, because it's a happy face that I don't have. That's why I like AA more than church. I'm sorry. I do. And, you know, it's not, I've been to just about every church around. There's not many. There have been churches in the past. I'm not going to say the churches that were bad and the churches that were good, but there have been churches in the past where it was a hospital, and you did not feel timid to open up, and they made you open up. But it's easy to lose that as well. You can do that good for a while, then you get your clicks, and then you want to impress, and you want to show that your victory was secure whenever you overcame that marital difficulty, or your porn addiction, or your alcohol addiction, or your anger issue, and you don't want to tell them because you failed the other day. You don't want to tell them you failed because you're trying to impress. Everybody else is trying to impress, and it eventually sometimes gets bad again. I'm all about authenticity. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the most authentic fellow around, but here's the deal. I love authentic people. That's the reason why I'm all about it. And I'm all about it in the church whenever it comes from the leadership down, and that is the only way it can. It has to start with the leadership. It usually is not a grassroots thing that happens among the congregation. It is them seeing the pastor, the person who is supposed to be the most perfect, the most secure, the one who has all of his problems figured out. It is them seeing him lift up his shirt and expose the gaping open wounds. Well, I don't know if there'll be a time this side of heaven that happens. I don't know if there's been a time in the history of church where it's generally happened more than other times, or more than not. But I know we can do it. I know it can happen. It's just leadership. You have to be committed to this. But authenticity. So I love AA more than the church.